Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.dev. And what I want to talk about today is Qwik. Qwik is a framework like React, like Vue, like Svelte, like Solid.js, um, like Angular, like all these front end frameworks that basically allow you to create very reactive UI logic on the front end that also then have full stack frameworks built on top of it. So like React has Next and Remix built on top of it. Svelte has SvelteKit built on top of it. Vue has Nux. Um, Solid.js has Solid Start, and Qwik has Qwik City. Now, Qwik is the only one of these frameworks that I actually have not yet used in the past. So I'm going to learn. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to build a to-do list application using Qwik. And basically, I have not done this ahead of time, so you're going to kind of watch me fumble through this. But hopefully, we can learn together. So hopefully, you can set up your ID as well, and we'll learn Qwik together and kind of go through the process of learning a new framework. Okay. So here we go. So I have a empty folder opened here, and I'm going to just click here to read the docs. Okay, so again, here's the command npm create Qwik at latest. So let's start with that, and then we'll explore the docs. So I'm going to open up a terminal. I will paste the command npm create Qwik at latest. And yeah, let's proceed. Where would you like to create your new project? Yeah, if I can create in this folder, that would be ideal. So let's do that. It's not empty. Would you like to do not overwrite this directory, move contents of this directory? Sure, why not? Okay, let's see here. So let's see here. I want to create a basic app. That would give you the full stack framework, Qwik City. Site with a visual CMS, Qwik City integrated for Builder.io. Again, Builder.io is actually who created Qwik. Builder.io is a headless CMS. That's actually a really cool one because what you can do is they have an integration with all the frameworks. I wrote a blog on it for I forget the name of the company whose blog I did this for, but it was a blog on their intermediate format called mitosis. So essentially, what they do is they have a tool called mitosis, and it's a way of representing your components in JSON. So you can convert between any framework by converting the framework that your component in React to mitosis, and then from mitosis to any of the other frameworks. So it acts as sort of like a center for translation. So the cool thing about that is you can plug for all the frameworks, you can drop this component in your application that allows you to generate pages using Builder.io's CMS, and those pages will just render in that spot. Okay, because essentially what it's doing is that you are essentially designing all the components through their visual UI, and they'll be able to take whatever you created and translate it to the proper framework. I haven't actually tried that out myself either, but it looks really cool, and I've heard it's pretty cool. Okay, an empty app. So this would just be an app with routing built in, ready to create your app. Okay, so it's just, I guess, an app without some basic stuff already in there. Component library, create a quick reusable Qwik component. So this idea is like if you just want to create some components, you're not creating like a full stack application. I'm going to create an empty app because I just don't want anything else there. So we'll do that. Would you like to install npm dependencies? Yes, let's do that. Initialize a NuGet repository? No, because it's already in the repository. Finishing the install. Want to hear a joke? Sure. Okay. I didn't see a joke. Let's see here. You might need to run npm install. Where's my joke? Here it is. My wife is really mad at the fact that I have no sense of direction. So I packed up my stuff and write. I get it. I will give them kudos for at least including a joke. Okay, so let's see here. Cross device link not permitted. Okay. Okay, so let's just run npm. So let me just cd into this project. ls quick. Okay, yep, and let's just do an npm install. Okay, let it install all the things. Okay, and cool. Okay, so let's explore before we open the docs. So if I open this, generally all the stuff I'm going to need is going to typically be in the source folder. So when I look at the source folder, I see a routes folder. So generally these kind of frameworks like Qwik, this is Qwik City. So in this case, we're using the full stack framework. Generally are going to have file-based routing. So generally in here, I'm going to see all the routes. So I would see, yep, there's my index route. So let's see how that looks like. Okay, so this looks a lot like React. Okay, so but we have this component function. So essentially our components are actually a callback that returns JSX that's passed to this component function. Okay, so that's straightforward enough. Okay, document head. Okay, so this is just going to be so we can design the head of the HTML document. So if you want to put like meta tags, stuff like that. So that's good to know. Hi, can't see what you're building. Happy coding. Good. Now how's the layout working? So let's see here. Okay, if we take a look at the layout. Okay, so basically it's just a component that returns a slot. And the slot would just be whatever component is also being rendered. Okay, routes, good. Service worker. Okay, so that's essentially it. Okay, so it's up to me to build there. So let me just confirm how we're going to build routes. I imagine I can just make more files in this folder and they should work. But just to confirm, I'm going to click over here on Explore the Docs. And let's get started. Okay. Okay, now first I want to actually see how do we do reactive state. Now here we're talking about like route loaders. I'm going to create a very basic to-do list across a couple of components. So chances are I won't have to work with any loaders for this particular. Like loaders, generally what they do is that when a particular route loads, they'll preload data. But I'm not talking to any third-party libraries or anything like that I wouldn't need to kind of do any data loading. Okay, so this is all more about how Qwik City works. Let me see. I want to see how state works. Let's go over here. Here we go. Overview. So we just want to see how a component works. Okay, so again, it's just a callback that's being passed to this component function. I get that. Okay, and I get all that. So again, I'm assuming you at least know React. So I'm going to assume you know how JSX works. So here we go. So in order to create state, or the way we generally understand state, is we're going to use a signal. So this is probably going to be a lot more like solid.js when it comes to accessing these. So in this case, see, I create the signal. To use the value, it's count.value. Okay, so this is going to generally use... Okay, so this is basically an object that has like a custom getter and setter function on it. They're probably even using a proxy object. But basically the idea is that you're creating a variable. It's going to be an object that has a value property called value, which is what holds the value of that state. And the idea is that it has a custom getter setter, because in JavaScript you can create custom functions that run when a value of an object's property happen. So essentially whenever that custom getter setter will then run whenever we work with this value property. So in this case, if I change the value, it'll trigger the re-rendering of places where I use that value. Okay, so straightforward enough. Props looks like it works like we would always expect props to work. Okay, and then we'd have to type the props. Okay, and we type the props when we type the function. Okay, or when we type yeah. Cool. Default props, rendering out reactivity. Okay, so I think that's pretty much really what I need there for now. Okay, now the next thing I want to know is about routing. Understanding how the routes work. So in this case, directory-based routing. So we have directories, define the URL segments to match by the router. Define a page. Got it. Okay, so the idea here is you want to create a folder for each route. So I think this is exactly how Next works now too. So I haven't really used the latest version of Next yet. With the new what's called the app folder. But I think everyone's kind of moving in this direction where instead of creating a file with your route's name, you're creating folders, and your directory paths determined. So in this case, I would create a folder called, so in this case, we have the folder called routes, and if I wanted to create a contact, whatnot, that's how I would do that. I'll leave it at that. Okay. But all I really want to do is create a to-do list, and we'll just do that in this index page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some components. I'm going to create a new file called to-do dot, or let's say here, we'll call it to-do state.tsx. And then we're going to have to do new file, to do display .tsx. Okay. Rename .tsx. Okay. And I will not play with that. All I want to do is just get a basic component going. Okay. So I will import this into here. Okay. Import component is defined but never used. Yep. Okay. We're going to start having the linter complain right away. Wonderful. Okay. So we're going to import component, and I'm also going to want use signal. Okay. Because this is going to be a stateful component. And then we are going to export default, the component function. Okay, and then that is going to return h1 to-do list. Okay, and we're going to just say const to-dos equals use signal. Okay, and that's going to be, well, we'll see how the reactivity works. Okay. Use signal, so it'll start out as an empty array. And let's just console log to do so it doesn't complain. Okay. Cool. And let's just start out by importing that into our index. So I'm going to import to do. Okay. And then again, I'm going to replace all this with to-do state. Okay. And then let's see here, the command to run this, I imagine it's going to be like npm run. So let's see what the commands are. Scripts, npm run build, no. Npm run dev, that's going to be what I want. Npm run dev, because I'm not doing a production build. We just want to run it in development mode. Okay. Cool. And that's going to be right here. And localhost 5713, although I just turned it off. So let's run it again. Localhost 5173. And let's see here, does it work? Okay, good. We see the component rendering. Wonderful. And then we see the log of the signal here. So you can see there's a bunch of stuff going on inside this signal. Okay. Untracked value. I will not spend too much time thinking about what all that means. Okay. That's all internal implementation stuff, but we got the list. So bottom line is that this part of the component, it should handle a few things. Okay, let's go to that to-do state. It should handle all the stateful logic, because I generally like to want to, good practice, separate your stateful components that handle your stateful logic from your display components that handle the display logic. So in this case, what I want is to create a few functions that should update our to-dos. So const add a to-do. Okay, which is going to equal a function that takes in a to-do. Okay, and basically what it's going to do is take to-dos.value.push, and now I'm not going to do it that way. The reason being is that I don't think that if I just push a value into the array that it'll trigger the getter. Like, let's actually double check this. Okay. JavaScript. Are getters triggered by array push? Because I think you have to change the value, which is technically the array, not the values in the array. So let's see here. Let's see what it says. Triggers and getters. You're asking unit screenshots is the name of the getter. You are getting unit screenshots for the model. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah. I think my concern is warranted. So essentially what I would want to do is actually change the value of value. Okay, so again, it's not enough for me to push the value in the array. I have to pass it a whole new array. So essentially what I really want to do is say const new to-dos equals a copy of the existing to-dos at value. So dot 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 to-dos dot value. Okay. Then what we'll do is we'll say new to-dos dot push, and then we push the new to-do in there. Okay. And let's see what it says there. To parameter of type never. Okay. Fun TypeScript add to do is assigned a value but never used. Okay. Okay. New to dos dot push. And then what we want to do is say to dos dot value equals new to do. So that way it's assigned a new array, even though it's just an array with the additional value. It's technically a new array, so we've technically changed the value, which should trigger the setters. Okay, although this TypeScript. Okay. Wonderful. Let's just do this. Type that as a string. I think it's supposed to be string. Okay, well, whatever. Okay, cool. And then we're going to pass that in once we create the to-do display. So we're going to have our add to-do const. So we want to be able to add a to-do, and we want to be able to remove a to-do. Okay, and that's going to be the index, which should be a number. Okay, putting in our TypeScript there. And once again, we're going to say const new to-dos equals, actually I can just copy this for the most part, because the big difference is going to be here is that instead we're going to do splice, pass in the index, and 1. Okay, so these are some fun linting errors. Oh, linting. Okay, so we have that. I mean, that should all be fun and good. Not sure why TypeScript is complaining. New to-dos.splice, and yeah, that's an array, so that's good. Okay, so we have those good to go. So all we need to do is pass those functions down into the display so we can then create the display. So let's go set up the display component. So let me just copy this. Okay, and this doesn't need a signal. Okay, but we do need an export default. And again, we're going to use the component function, and then that's going to receive a callback. Okay, and that's going to return one to-do display. Okay, but I want this to receive props, so let's type it. Okay, and if I remember right, when we take a look at the component example in here, if I go back to components, component, state, use store, I want to go to overview. Component overview. Okay, component counter example. Yep, here we go. Props. So yeah, it's just an interface. Interface We're going to call this to-do props. And basically what it should have is it should receive the to-dos. Okay. Which should be an array. And I'm not going to be specific, so I'm going to say, hey, an array of any. It's fine with me. And then we're going to have add to-dos, which should be a function. And capital F function. And remove, what did I call it? Remove to do. So add to do, remove to do. So add to do and remove to do, which will also be a function. So that's what this it should be receiving as props. Okay, so then we'll add that typing here. To do props. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so now that we have that, I can now import it into here. Import to do display. And now what we can do is replace this with to do display. Okay, and then we're gonna put in the props. So I'm gonna put in to do's equals to do's dot value. Add to do equals add to do. And remove to do equals remove to do. So I pass those as props, and then we can close the component. Okay. Let's see how that's still erroring. So see here, the value of the JSX attribute cannot be serialized because it's a function named add to do. You might need to convert it to a QRL function. Add to do. Oh, okay. Okay, so there's something we need to do specifically for Qwik. So it looks like since we're using our state in there, it looks like I have to wrap it in this $sign function. So let's try that out. Do that with the other one. Oh, I don't think. Yep, the $sign is defined. So is that something I can get from here, I'm assuming? Dollar, yep. Okay, cool. Okay, so that fixed that. Okay, so essentially, I guess what I'm assuming is happening is that this tells the Qwik compiler that when it reads this function, that this function is intending to use a signal. So to make sure to register this with any signals that are used. So that way, when those signals change, it goes and then reruns those, re-renders the DOM. Okay, let me see if it anywhere explains that. So that way we can, events, let's see here, inline handlers, events, reusing event handlers. Just looking for where they might explain that $sign function. So here we're seeing that happen, but where, I'm gonna assume actually maybe that's gonna be in state. So use signal, use store, not gonna get into that right now. Here we go, methods. To provide methods on the store, you must make them into QRLs and refer to the store with this. Type QRL. So in this case, let's see here. Let's read that use store. Well, here you're storing multiple things. Okay, we're not using a store per se. Where did it explain that $sign function? Control F, $sign. Get that. Yes, this is the first time it pops up, but doesn't really explain what that function is doing there. So I am going to assume that it's doing what I said it's doing. Okay, that just makes sense. Makes it where it's aware that that function is referring to a signal. Okay. So assuming that, things so far should be working. Not that it's really doing anything yet. Okay, so now I can go to the to-do display and start building out the functionality in the to-do display. Okay, because now we have all our props, and I should probably go in here and declare props. Okay, or I can just actually more easily do this. To-dos, add to-do, remove to-do. So that way I have all those accessible to me. Let me just make sure that's how props is going to work here. Go back over here. Let's go to the prop section. And yeah, okay, good. So it is going to work that way. Just making sure that's staying consistent. Okay. So in this case, what I would like, let's make this a div. Okay, in this div, we're going to have a form. Okay. And okay, and in there we'll have an input of type text. Okay, we'll call, and the name will just be to do. Okay. No need for real. We'll just take out the ID property for now. Don't really need that. And then a button to submit. Not a button, a button. Okay, submit. Cool. And now what we need to do, okay, is have a function for when we handle the submission. So const handle submit equals, okay, and then we'll have the event being passed in. And then we'll do event.prevent default to prevent the default. And I will, let me think on that. What I'm going to want to do is use add. Well, let's just create a form data object. So form data const form data equals new form data object, passing in the event.target, which should be the form. Okay, and so now I should be able to get the to-do, which should equal const to-do should equal form data dot get from the input that's called to-do, and then I should be able to do add to-do to-do. And then that's what the function should do. And that should run anytime we submit the form. Okay, cool. Now why doesn't it like that? Okay. Take a look here. So that's looking fine. It's working. So I'm going to disregard the error lens output. Okay, so I have the form, but right now it's not going to show anything. So let's create another main for the actual, to iterate the to-dos. Okay, and then right here, I'm not aware if it has any other way for iterating, so I'm just going to use this typical sort of map. So I'm going to just say, hey, here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to-dos dot map, and for each to-do, render a h2 that says that has t inside of it. Okay, and let's see here. Hello. Okay, I submitted it. So now the question, let me go back to my to-do state. So instead of console logging, let's actually console log the value of to-dos. So I can see, hey, is this array manifesting? So let's see here. Hello. The array's still empty. Interesting. So in that case, let's see if this function is actually receiving console.log to do. Hello. Okay. So this function is not running. Well, how do I know that? Because I don't see the log. I saw the log for, actually, technically that wouldn't happen there though. That would happen over here, wouldn't it? Hello. And I don't see it running. So let's try that again. So if I go back to display, let's see here, add to do. Let me just go back to here. Did I pass that? Add to do's, add to do. Is there something funky with props that let's see here as an example? Item declares optional props. Okay, rendering activity. Quick components are reactive. This means that you automatically update on the change. There are two kinds of updates. The state is bound to the DOM text attribute. Keep in mind is that when state changes, your component function may execute 0 or more times. The state change is caused by the component getting, when the components get invalidated. Hold the DOM events. Okay. Lazy loading. Inline components. Polymorphic components. Okay, that doesn't. Events. Okay. Count.value plus plus. Multiple event handlers. Okay, so let me go back here, take a look here. Like, is the submit event even happening? So on submit, handle submit. So let's do this. Let's see if this handle submit function is even running. Log and hello. Okay, so I go here and I type in cheese. Okay, yeah, I don't think the handle submit is running. Const handle, so let's just think about that for a second. Form on submit. Why type showed in JSX output? Let's see here. Let's take a look at an example. Where's on click? Oh, there's like this $sign here. Okay, I see. We have to use the $sign when we're doing events here. Oh, where's the $sign? On click. Yeah, it looks like. So let me add a $sign here. Okay, that looks like it's happy with something, but something else seems to be wrong now. So let's take a look here. The value passed in on submit must be a QRL instead of you passed a function. Make sure your function is wrapped with a QRL. Okay, so this is where that comes into play. QRL. Okay, and then QRL. I gotta update the type because I think those are. I did wrap them in that $sign function, so they are QRLs. Okay. Oh, but this function isn't. I got to make sure the handle submit function also is. So that means I need that $sign function again. And then I need to wrap this in a $sign function thing. Okay. Oh, I put that parenthesis in the wrong place. There we go. Okay. Now let's see here. Hello. Still doesn't seem like it's handling it the way I expect it to handle it. I would expect the handle submit to trigger that function, and I don't see this console log of hello. So I am still missing something. So then, is there a special section on forms that I'm missing here? Contacts. Okay, on click component. Bind property name. Let's see here. Okay, we did that. Because of the async Qwik on advanced handlers might be delayed because the implementation of that. Then processing quick and following API. Okay, so this doesn't work. Okay, so because the event handling is asynchronous, you can use event.prevent to solve this quick default. So how do we do this? Oh, okay, so I gotta put that there. So what I really gotta do is I gotta put prevent default. Prevent default submit. Okay, so now let's try this out. Okay, hello. Ah, it's working now. Okay, cheese. Okay, and I guess that's fine. I can get used to that. Okay, so bottom line, anytime a function is going to handle signals or a function is going to be used as an event that updates signals, we need these $sign. We need to wrap it in these $sign functions, and prevent default doesn't work the way you would normally do it. So in that case, what you would have to do is you put this prevent default declaration on the elements that you want with the event that you're preventing the default on. Okay, got it. Okay, so next would be to make it where whenever, so in this case, let's use ti. Okay, so first off, we're going to give this, so that way it stops complaining. We're going to add a key equals I prop there, so that way it stops complaining about a key attribute. Oh, JSX. But also we're going to want on each of these, we're going to add a function. So it's going to say on click equals, and I'm going to just do an inline function. And all I really want to do is call remove to do and pass the index. Okay, so I can be like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then if I click on lunch, it should disappear. Cool. Okay, so I've created essentially a to-do list. Again, I'm not gonna, the point of this was just to kind of explore the basic features of Qwik, and so now we've done that. So now you can see, like, okay, I've used reactivity, I've used props, we've used multiple components, and had them communicate with each other, handle events, and seen some of the sort of like the weird, sort of like not too weird, but you know, again, it's not exactly React or Solid.js, so there are some growing pains. But overall, I mean, if you already have a strong React background, this shouldn't be too hard to pick up. And if you've already used React and Solid.js, even more so. But again, also recommend trying out sort of builder.io in general, because its feature set's pretty cool. But again, my name is Alex Merced from alexmerced.dev. I'll see you all later. Have a great day and enjoy.